Well, Harry Grant's back for Melbourne as the Storm look to stop the Panthers tonight. Josh Papali'i will play his final hurrah in Canberra, with the Raiders season looking a distant memory of positivity. And Latrell Mitchell could make a shock return for South Sydney. These are your Charge Thursday tips as we get set for the Warriors coming across the ditch, missing almost an entire first-choice spine. And Voltage AI and I go head-to-head again with our picks. They're locked and loaded, and we've got 4 different games where we diverge on the winner. So let's get into it. As always, we are here for our Thursday tips and thoughts. 4 rounds down, and I lead 3 rounds to 1 over the AI at the moment, 49-44. And somehow neither of us has landed one of those elusive charged exact margin picks just yet. Before we get into it, make sure you hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop your own tips down in the comments. Let us know which ones we've got right, which ones we've got very, very wrong. If you're new here, it's pretty straightforward. Myself and the AI model go head-to-head to tip our winners and margins. Correct winner, 1 point. Correct winner and margin is 2. And each week we both get to throw down 2 charged picks. An exact winning margin, no range, no safety net. Hit it exactly and you get 5 points. And this week we've ripped and torn into our tips. So let's get in and see who's got it right. And there's absolutely made sure there's no copying this week. So let's tear into Thursday night. The Storm versus the Panthers. This is a cracker to start the round. Melbourne get a huge boost with Harry Grant back. Jack Howarth in as well for the Storm, while Trent Tolau is given the 7 jersey this week. Penrith, they're under a little bit of pressure. They've stumbled recently, dropping back-to-back games and just slid out of that number 1 spot. Now they come down to Amy Park with Melbourne with troops back, and it's never an easy trip. But Melbourne, well, they're kind of a shadow of what they have been. This would normally be a top-tier test. But we know the Storm, despite their lowly ladder position, are not going to be easy, with Grant coming back in and wanting to make an impact. That speed he's going to generate around the ruck changes Melbourne completely. I don't think there's much in it, and I'm actually going to lean the Storm to extend the Panthers' losing run by 2-8. Voltage AI, very similar thinking. They've gone 1-7, a little closer on that one. We head to Friday night, and it's the early game, 6 o'clock, Raiders versus the Broncos down at GIO Stadium in Canberra. And there is a huge underlying emotional element to this game. Long-serving club stalwart Josh Papali'i's final home game in Canberra. And fittingly, he's back into the starting side for it. Simi Sasungi is also back after he's rested, awaiting this game, while Morgan Smithies is out of action with a head knock. The Broncos, well, they've got their own reshuffle. Reece Walsh gone for the season. Hayes Perham goes to fullback. And importantly, Ben Hunt brings some experience back in at halfback. Duffy drops down to the bench. That old head at 7 is a big boost, but there's going to be some serious emotion for the Broncos to overcome in GIO. Canberra still fighting. Papali'i's farewell in the nation's capital. A home crowd desperate to send him out properly. And I'm going to take the Raiders. I've gone the Raiders by 10-16 in this one. Voltage AI has planted the flag, though. First charge pick of the round, going the Raiders by exactly 12. So we could both be right, but Voltage AI could have the ultimate boost of points. Next up, we go the Dolphins and the Eels, the late game on Friday. Another one of our watch-along. Fins up, the Dolphins charging towards the top 4 after a couple of Sharks stumbles. And this is exactly the sort of game that they must bank. Parramatta scrambled their way to a win against North Queensland last week, but it wasn't exactly clinical. And what are they playing for now? The Dolphins have everything in front of them. Top 4, chance of a guaranteed home semi-final at some point along the run. Momentum into September. They've lost Connolly Lemuelu, though, so that brings Max Plath into the starting side, but Jake Avarillo comes back into the squad, giving them some more versatility. Parramatta welcome back Jack DeBellin at lock, Dylan Walker dropping out with a wrist injury. I just think the motivation gap matters here. The Dolphins need to keep getting better, and I think they'll win this one reasonably comfortably. I've got the Dolphins by 14-20. Voltage AI thinks it's going to be a little closer, but is also fins up with the Dolphins 8-14. We head into Saturday and we get the first of our NRLW fixtures. And this is a proper semi-final style test for both sides as the Knights play host to the Tigers. Tigers last year's wooden spooners. They are one of the stories of the season. They now come up against a Knights side that absolutely has to win after a couple of anomalous weeks. It's old Knights Day, old boys day, whatever you might want to call it. And there'll be certainly some emotion and nostalgia in McDonald Jones Stadium. And with Newcastle's season wobbling, they need everything to be back on track. They do get some important troops back. Lillian White returns at fullback. Taylor Predabon is back in the front row from suspension, while the Tigers counter with some big ins of their own. Kezi Apps returns. Salma Noor is back at 9, and Harmony Crichton comes onto the wing. This makes it fascinating. The Knights are desperate. The Tigers are rolling. The Knights on paper, probably the strongest side, but the Tigers are absolutely firing. I'm going to trust the desperation at home. I'm going to go the Knights by 2-8. Voltage AI, well, they disagree. They've gone the Tigers by 1-7, our first winner split of the round. And it tells you just how close this game should be. But it'll go a long way towards determining which of these teams plays finals and maybe which misses out. We go into the men's game, and the Knights and the Seagulls also at Mac Jones. And the Knights, well, they continue to ensconce themselves into the finals picture. There's still an outside chance of pushing even higher and maybe even sneaking into the top 4 if a lot of results go their way. And the big boost for the Knights, well, Bradman Best is back. Jacob Safidi's in as well, although Dane Gagai does drop out with a hamstring injury. Manly, well, there's some good news, but mostly negative. The wheels have fallen out. They were shut out at Brookvale last week. Their season's all but gone. The silver lining, Tom Trbojevic is back in action, but the question is he fully fit, and how much can he accelerate and test out that hamstring? That said, Manly do love this rivalry, as do the Knights. They get up for it. You've only got to go as far back as 1997 to really see this in all its glory. There are certain clubs that can somehow drag that extra 10% out of you, and Newcastle and Manly are one of those each for each other. So I think that Manly stays in the arm wrestle, but Newcastle eventually breaks them. I'm going to drop a charge pick here and go the Knights by exactly 8. Voltage AI has the Knights too, but this time by a margin of 8-14. We flip back to the NRLW, the Dogs versus the Raiders at Belmore. A dangerous trip for the Raiders. The Bulldogs have been an absolute roller coaster this season, which is probably an understatement. They've shown plenty to worry good sides, but consistency continues to be the question. The Raiders, though, they've found their groove. They've beaten Brisbane and Newcastle in the last couple of weeks, and they need to make a statement here to ensconce themselves into the top 6. Because if they want us talking about them as a top 6, maybe even a top 4 team, these are games you have to win. Kalo Hopewadi is back in the Bulldogs pack, or Canberra will again have Sheridan Gallagher at fullback, and keep an eye on her. I think this sort of physical game is exactly where she'll shine. She's got a big afternoon coming here. I think she leads the Raiders to a 10-16 point victory. Voltage AI agrees around that 2-try margin, but going 8-14. We also talk NRLW Dragons and Cowboys. This is enormous at the bottom end of the ladder. There's congestion down there with lots of teams in the mix for the wooden spoon and everyone trying to clamber their way away. The Dragons want to get out of that cellar, and honestly, they've been better than their record suggests the past few weeks after a very slow start. Nathan Cross has swung the axe. Sally Hopkins comes in at 5'8". Brooke Anderson moves to lock, and Hannah Southwell shifts up front to prop. A big forward pack reshuffle for them. North Queensland, well, they're travelling south after a strong home win. They don't have a great record on the road, and this is exactly the sort of game where the Dragons have been showing us 50 or 60 minutes and then letting themselves down. If they give me 70 minutes this week, I think they win. Potentially jump a couple of spots as well. They could actually leapfrog the Cowboys. I've got the Dragons by 4-10, while Voltage AI has gone the Cowboys to go back-to-back, this time on the road. Cowboys 1-7. That's our winner split number 2 this week. A little bit of disagreement. We move on to the Saturday evening and the Rabbitohs versus the Warriors in the men's. This is one of the most fascinating games of the round. The big question mark is South Sydney potentially welcoming Latrell Mitchell back in. He's named in the extended reserves and could return for the first time since round 11, but I'm not hedging my bets on Latrell playing. If he does, well, he makes South probably 4 points better in a one-off game. Maybe doesn't turn them into championship and premiership contenders, but he certainly improves them. On the other side, the Warriors are in a major spine crisis. They've been doing so well. They've been winning with a third-choice halfback in Luke Metcalf, but they're now down Metcalf and Tamari Martin, plus Charles Nickel-Cookstad suspended for that tackle on Reece Walsh. Luke Hanson's been handed enormous responsibility alongside Chanel Harris-Tavita, while Jet Cleary is sitting in the extended reserves. The Warriors still need to keep winning to ensconce themselves up in that top 2-3 question. The middle will come after South. They'll try and lay that platform behind James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett. But that's asking a lot of that spine. I'm calling the upset here, despite South being without their own first-choice halfback. I'm going a charge pick. Rabbits by exactly 6. Voltage AI says I've got it way out of whack. They've got the Warriors winning this one 1-7. So that's winner split number 3, and my charge pick is on the line as well. While we're on the men's, let's go Saturday night. The Dragons versus the Bulldogs, and I think this is an absolute danger game for a Rocks and Diamonds Bulldogs side. I genuinely think that the Dragons are up and about. Their young forwards are playing with confidence, and they will back themselves to take on this forward pack of the Dogs. And if Canterbury give them an early sniff, well, this crowd could get involved, and George Illawarra will all of a sudden start to believe. But when I line the sides up, there's still a gap. When you look at some of those names on the Bulldogs side, if they perform close to their best, Stephen Crichton, Viliami Kickow, Jacob Preston, Leo Thompson, there's some real quality there. The Dragons pack will absolutely come after them and has quality of their own. It's just young quality that is yet to be tested with the metal of steel. I think the Dragons pack will go hard here, but whether they can stick with them for 80, that bench rotation starts to become an asset for the Dogs. Canterbury should have enough experience and strike to weather the early storm and get on top. I've got the Dogs by 8-14, and this is one game where Voltage AI and I see this exactly the same. They've got the Dogs 8-14 as well, exactly the same pick. Then head to Sunday afternoon, and we've got the Titans versus the Broncos in NRLW. What a matchup this is. The Southeast Queensland Derby. Brisbane are staring down the worst losing streak in their NRLW history. Ali Brigginshaw still one more game to serve her suspension, and now Brianna Clark joins her on the suspension list as well. The Titans haven't lost since round one. They are flying, but have they really been tested? They've only faced one current top six side during the winning run, and to be fair, that was against the Wars, and they limped home in Magic Round to win by 2. This is their test for the Broncos. Jada Ferguson's back at hooker, which is an important inclusion around that ruck. I think the Broncos respond. I think they remind everyone that if anyone is capable of challenging the Roosters, it is the Brisbane Broncos in the NRLW. I've got the Broncos by 2-8. Voltage AI has gone the flip side of the coin with the Titans 1-7. There's another disagreement of winner. We then head into the NRLW, Roosters versus the Warriors. And I tell you what, when you look at most Roosters games at the moment, you look at the two team sheets and think, how do you beat this side? They're stacked. The Warriors have punched above their weight all season. They'll come after the Roosters physically. And Neda Nuasala will lead the way through the middle. They'll try and make this ugly. But the Roosters, they've got Millie Elliott. They've got a Tessa Poole, Saraya Parkey, Jasmine Strange and Amber Hall all sitting in that forward rotation. Plenty of depth. And I think the Warriors will compete. But I think the Chooks pull away in the last 15-20 to make it Roosters 14-20. Voltage AI is going bigger and putting 5 points on the line, going the Roosters by exactly 24 in this one. And then we come to the Titans and the Sharks in the men's. Both teams enter this one missing a key half. No Zane Harrison for the Titans, the young rising star, out for the season. Braden Trindle out for the foreseeable future, but they think he'll be back in before finals. Dislocated that shoulder last week, scoring the opening try against the Raiders, and the Sharks look lost without him. So where does this get decided? Well, for me, it'll be depth. Cronulla bring Adam Fanua-Blake back into their squad. Their middle rotation includes Oregon Kafusi, Tom Hazelton, and CSC for Talakai. Titans' path is pretty obvious. They've got to lay the platform through the middle, and with the starting lineup of Tino Fasul-Malaawi and Mo Fodawaker, they can set the platform. But then you need a big shift out of Beau Firm or Cooper Bye in their bench. If they can do that, well, they'll give their backs a chance, but I think Cronulla's depth eventually wins out. I think they'll keep coming in waves, and the Titans will eventually run out of stock. And after sliding over the past couple of weeks, this feels like the game to me where the Sharks are rested, because if they don't stop it here, it could be a very quick slide out the back door of the finals. I've got the Sharks by 10-16. Voltage AI has gone the Sharks by 15-20. And finally, on the NRL side, we wrap the round with the Roosters and the West Tigers. This could get ugly. The Tigers are in a world of hurt already. And now they've let Adam Doohy head off to off-season shoulder surgery. Jock Madden comes in at halfback. Meanwhile, James Tedesco comes in and doubles down the strength for the Roosters. I'm trying to find a narrative that gives some hope to the Tigers fans here. And look, they will hold the gloves up early. They'll compete. They've got energetic middles and edges. But can they go with the Roosters? Their depth, their strike, their power across 80 minutes. The talented kids in this side are just going to be out of their depth across the full stretch. The Roosters' depth and rotation should overwhelm them. This could be men against boys by the final 20. Give me the Roosters 20+, and Voltage AI absolutely agrees. We're both locking it in, the Roosters 20+. And last but not least, for this weekend, it is the NRLW Sharks versus Eels, 6:15 p.m. out there at Shark Park on Sunday. And it could become very much a spoon bowl to close out the round. It is early in the season for a spoon bowl, but it's not unheard of. If other results fall a particular way, this will get very important in terms of the bottom of the ladder. Both teams sitting on just one win each, and every win matters. Parramatta have built and started to show some signs, including getting their first W last week. The Sharks, they're impossible to trust at the moment. At their best, they're just outside the top 6. At their worst, they're barely clinging on to 12th place. They're carrying some significant outs as well. Jadika Tafua being suspended is huge. And you've also got the lengthy Sharks injury list. Rhiannon Byers does return, though. Parramatta, though, they welcome back in Riverlea Arlo and Chloe Jackson from concussion. For me, the key is through the middle. Elsie Albert and Keely Joseph will establish the platform for Parramatta and lead the way. On the other side, Ellie Johnson's going to have a massive job in the starting lineup for Cronulla, and that rotation with Caitlin Johnson coming off the bench is really important. This could be a really clutch one for them. It could be about who can lay the best platform and who can continue that momentum through their second unit. Cronulla coming all the way back from North Queensland after a loss. Parramatta have the momentum of a win, plus the longer turnaround. It's almost a coin toss, but I'm saying down, Cronulla. I've got the Eels getting this done by 4-10. Voltage AI is with me a little closer at 1-7. So there it is. That is our week of tips and thoughts for this NRLW and NRL weekend. 16 attempts between us after this weekend of charge picks, and we still haven't got one. Hopefully this is the weekend. We've got lots of thoughts that come through. Let us know in the comments down below. Where do we get it right? Where do we get it wrong? Where are we way off the mark? And who's going to be your lock of the round? Can't wait for it. Your 14 games are there. 2 charge picks each, and everything is officially locked in. I'm leading at 3 rounds to 1 at the moment, but can Voltage AI get a strike back? Well, we will know after this round, and we'll drop it all for you. Got some genuine separation in our selection, 4 different tips. Make sure, as always, to hit subscribe, ring the bell, and jump into those comments. A big thanks for tuning into your home of the Black and White of Sports. Enjoy your rugby league this weekend, and make sure to tune in along to our live watch-alongs throughout the weekend.